let's talk about the reigning, defending, back-to-back Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. It's got to feel good every time you hear that, Chiefs fans. And today, we're going to talk about the Chiefs and some things that they do really, really smart. Draft is right around the corner. They're really good at that. Football season seems like it's getting closer every day. They're good at that. But the other thing they're good at, player management. And let's get into this article and we can talk more about this on the other side. This is from NBC Sports. It says receiver Cadarius Toney last played with the Chiefs in Week 15, a win over the Patriots featuring a drop that unfortunately became an interception. It thereafter seemed as if it was over for Toney in Kansas City, especially after Toney accused the team of claiming he was injured when he wasn't. But the Chiefs haven't cut or released Toney. He's been working out with quarterback Patrick Mahomes in Texas. On Monday, Chiefs coach Andy Reid addressed Toney's status, saying Cadarius is arguably one of the most talented guys we have on the team. Reid said, "It's just a matter of being healthy and being able to stay on the field. And you always hear about reliability, accountability, all those things that go into it. And so I'm expecting him to come back ripping and ready to go. It's great that he's down there working with Pat and putting in work. So that's a position. Listen, we like Cadarius. It's just a matter of having him on the field." Nick, I think this is a really smart move by the Chiefs. I'm curious what your thoughts are on this one. But Chiefs, you've made so many great moves in the past. So many smart moves hitting the draft over and over again. But sometimes it just doesn't always work out. And that's why today we want to know, who is your biggest Chiefs draft bust in NFL history? Let us know in the comments below who you think the biggest Chiefs draft bust is. But Nick, what are your thoughts on these recent moves with Kadarius Toney?
Look, I think it's absolutely genius by the Kansas City Chiefs and Andy Reid, and here's why. Look, obviously the Chiefs being defending Super Bowl champions back to back, right? The way the NFL is structured, we know it's a parity-driven league in terms of the bottom feeding teams. They have all the advantage. Of course, they have the draft capital, they have the easier schedule, and of course, a team like the Chiefs has a lot of money tied into the quarterback position and other stars as well. So this is a Chiefs team right now, of course, that doesn't have the dollars to compete with the other 31 teams on paper anyway. I know there's some other rules that come into factor. Some teams overspend, some teams are stupid, but the reality is the way the system is designed, the Chiefs are at a disadvantage in terms of the dollars available to spend, certainly in terms of draft capital, and certainly in terms of schedule, having the first place schedule they have to deal with winning the AFC West. And one of the ways that you can offset that if you're a team continuously winning is by focusing on developing the best out of your players and building them up and allowing them to stick with the program when things seem bad. I think the biggest fall of the Patriots dynasty was the fact that Belichick and his whole culture environment cutting everyone that didn't buy into the Patriots way immediately. I think it created a solid locker room environment for the first half of his dynasty, but I think the second half they fell off and lost a lot of winnable opportunities because they had some decent players that were having some issues and they just jettisoned them instead of sticking with it, letting them ride through that. And I think that hurt the Patriots. I think the Chiefs are taking the opposite approach. They recognize, as I think we all do, that Kadarius Toney is incredibly talented. He had a lot of problems last season. We all are very well aware of that. But if he can get past that, if he can get on board with Patrick Mahomes, if he can get out of his own headspace, he is a really talented receiver. He's a really talented playmaker. And the reality is with Toney right now, he is at his lowest value point in his entire NFL career. I don't know who would sign him right now. Maybe some team would take a flyer on him before training camp. If the Chiefs cut him, there's also a chance his career could be done. So right now, Kadarius Toney is at the lowest place, and you better believe he knows it because his agent is telling him that. So what do the Chiefs do? The Chiefs don't kick him while he's down. The Chiefs don't cut him. They build him up and say, "Hey, we want you to be here. We like you. We think you're a great player." And that gets Toney to buy in and be 100% okay for playing for cheap, for maybe not getting as many touches as he would like, maybe not getting as many snaps during the game if you would like. And that means literally buying into everything that Chiefs doing, right? What Andy Reid and what the Chiefs are doing here, they're taking a guy who was maybe not buying into the Chiefs culture, and by sticking with him at his lowest possible point, they're creating their biggest ally in the locker room, right? This is a tactic that's used a lot in business. You get a guy that's really butting heads with him and you kind of promote him, you kind of support him up a little bit. He then becomes your biggest champion. It's a tactic recommended by a lot of leaders. And I think that's exactly what the Chiefs are doing here. I think it's one of those smart under the radar moves, and I think will pay big dividends for them come the regular season.
Yeah, and when you look at it, the contract, it just makes sense, dude. The Chiefs, They get to keep Tony this season for what, $2 million and some change.
Nothing.
It's
Yeah.
so cheap. And then if, let's say, if he starts to really come around, if you don't solve your receiver problem in the draft somehow, if things don't work out and you decide by May that you want to extend him for that 5th-year deal, it's only $14 million to go on to his 5th-year deal, the 5th year of his deal as well. I think, even that for today's wide receiver market, you're probably somewhere in the middle. That's not a ton of money. Most mid to high end guys are getting $20+ million a year. So for $14 million, we know the talent's there. If you think he can live up to it, you can get him for really low price there as well. So I just think overall, this just sounds like a good move. I think this just sounds like the Chiefs, they're hedging on these guys who've had a couple of character concerns in the past, had a couple of, headbutting in the locker room with the team and saying, hey, we can look past that. But, you're going to have to cut us some slack down the road. We believed in you when a lot of other people didn't. The Giants didn't believe in you. We did. And what did we get you? We got you a Super Bowl ring, so that's nice. But you got to, make amends with us down the stretch. Don't, hang us out to dry when it comes to renegotiate that contract if everything works out. I think the Chiefs doing something really smart. It's something we've seen done in the past. And I think that this is going to be the way, like you said, that they are able to move forward. Because Patrick Mahomes, big contract going forward. Kelsey is big contract. This team is strapped for cash and they need to save every position they can. If it's in the form of, unfortunately, some hard-headed wide receivers who are making some crazy moves, which a lot of the best ones do, and you're able to keep them under wraps, I think that is the best option for the Chiefs going forward.
And it's important to understand that this is all predicated on the fact that the Chiefs are really good and winning a lot of games, right? And winning Super Bowls. Because if they're like every other team and maybe picking 21 in this draft, right, they wouldn't care. They would just draft, maybe a receiver at 21. They get the 4th best receiver. But because the Chiefs are where they are, they have to find creative ways to keep their talent level at a high point, right? And the only way that they can really do it is to, or really I should say 2 ways. One is to find steals in the draft, which has worked a number of times, but eventually, right, you're just going to have a few bad draft classes just by bad luck of the draw. And in that case, you need to have a bunch of core guys that are willing to take team-friendly, dirt cheap deals that have bought into what you're trying to do. And the best way to do that is to take guys that are down on their luck, down on their value, but extremely talented, and to stand by and support them. That's what the Chiefs are doing here with Tony. And I think it's one of those classic low risk, high reward moves, right? Because we all know Tony has the skill set. We all know he's a really gifted player. If he can just get out of his headspace, if he can just buy in, he'll be a great receiver for the Chiefs. And I think sticking with him and empowering him is a smart move by this organization.
Data brokers sell your information to scammers, spammers, and anyone else who may want to target you. Your full name, email, home address, health records, even your relatives. It's all out there. That's why we use Aura, the sponsor of today's video. Aura shows us which data brokers are selling our information and automatically submits opt-out requests for us.
Cleaning up our information not only reduces the amount of that stupid spam we all get, but it also protects us from hackers who could use this information to help them access our social media accounts, bank accounts, and other sensitive information. Aura also does much more to protect us and our families from online threats. We also get features like antivirus protection, VPNs, password management, parental controls, identity theft insurance, and more without having to download several different apps. That's really key. One location, get all this great stuff. It's really easy to set up. And the best of all, we get everything at one affordable price.
And you may already have 1 or 2 of these tools already, but not having Aura is like locking the front door and leaving the back door wide open. Aura is always on doing the hard work to keep you safe so you can focus on other tasks and have peace of mind. We value our privacy and we value yours. You can go to aura.com/Saturday to start your 2-week free trial. Also, link below in the description. Again, aura.com/Saturday for your free 2-week trial.